Today, Dr. Gordon Moonstone will be looking at some of the fibres that were collected from the suspect's clothing and also at the ink that was found at the bottom of the blackmail note.
Now, the first piece of evidence that we're going to look at today is the ink that was found at the bottom of the blackmail note. And we're going to analyse this using two different versions of a technique called chromatography.
Firstly, we are going to use paper chromatography. Now, to do this, we need to draw a line in pencil along the bottom of the paper that we're going to be using. And then on this line, we will mark where the samples are going to go. It's important to use pencil because this is insoluble in the solvent we're going to be using, in this case, water. We then apply each of the pens from the suspects to their correct position on the sheet of paper, making sure that we don't make too big a mark on there. If we put too much sample, then they can tend to run into each other and make it very difficult to see what is going on. When we're ready, the paper then gets placed into our solvent. As I said, in this case it's water, and the inks will separate depending on the solubility of the different components within the ink mixture in the solvent we're using. The second technique that we're going to use is called thin layer chromatography. Now, instead of using a piece of paper, in this case we have a plate of plastic that is coated with a thin layer of silica particles. Now, these solid silica particles are of very similar size, and they're very small, and this allows smaller samples to be used than using paper chromatography. And it also gives us much better separation. And as before, we need to mark up the plate using pencil, because this won't be affected by the solvent that we place the plate into shortly. Again, once our samples are on there, it's ready to go into our water solvent. And again, we've sped this up so that we can see the separation occurring nice and quickly. And we can see very rapidly that the pen that matches with the scene of crime sample is the pen from suspect number 4.
Now we're going to have a look at the fibres that were collected from the suspect's clothing, and we're going to compare them to the fibres that we collected from the professor's lab coat.
Now, first of all, we need to focus the microscope onto the fibres that we want to look at. Now, as we look down the eyepiece, we can see some of these red fibres. They're very smooth and regular in shape. Now, on Professor Barkington's lab coat, the fibres here are much thinner and much less regular in their shape. And this suspect, we have some regular fibres again, but different colours, some white, some grey, some brown. And we managed to find some fibres that match this on the lab coat. We can see here some of the brown fibres and grey fibres that we found matching.
The final pieces of evidence will be analysed in part 9. However, next time we shall be looking at the interviews conducted with our final suspect, Cedric Escargot, the chef at Slugpitt Hall. So until then, good night and take care of yourselves.